What's wrong? Show me your arm. It's nothing. Show me. Fine. She got big. She got big. Calm down. Calm down. Calm down. Just calm down. Calm down. Let the gun down now. Bang down. What you mean she got big? No. Don't worry. I'm gonna make this quick. I'm gonna make it quick. I'm gonna make it quick. That's your friend. She ain't my friend no more. She is your friend. You can't just do that. Well, you know the saying, keep your enemies close and your friends dead. That ain't what it says. I can't do it. Give me the gun. No, give me the gun. No, give it now. Give me the gun. No. Give me that. Why you shoot her? I didn't shoot her. I did. Why? I just got scared. She was twitching and then she was like, ah. Why you shoot him? He was explaining. Oh, he want. No. Oh, I thought.
Hello everybody, my name is Moon, and welcome back to my channel. First off, y'all, your girl is back from the War of Finals. And also the war of actually giving myself a break. Anyways, so we're now going to be catching up on the roadmap review, starting with March, because this month, honestly, I don't think it was gonna be chaotic, but somehow March actually got really chaotic at the end.
Man, you gonna have to run, bro. Well, come on, this way. Come on, back up, man. Back.
Y'all are gonna find out really quick why this thing is called Boring Boom. I'm not kidding. Some of you may already know what it is, and some of you don't. And if you still don't know, well, look at the intro skit. Before we get started, if you want to support me further on my content, check out my Ko-fi in the description. I have some stuff coming soon with art stuff, so check it out. But if you just want to buy me a coffee or aka just donate to my tip jar, you can check it out there as well. I also post some vlogs and sneak peeks and behind the scenes stuff that you don't normally see on my Instagram on there as well. And I also post some other shit there as well, so check it out. I also want to give a huge thank you to my supporters that I have so far on Ko-fi. Y'all are amazing. I can't thank y'all enough for the support. Now with the promo shit out of the way, let's get on to weeks 1 through 2. So the first 2 weeks of March, we had some stuff for the most part. For starters, in the first week, we got the final champ that's in the Champ Remake First Batch Trilogy, which is the Pony Champ. As usual, you go talk to whoever runs it, explain who they are, and they give you a test run. So as usual with champs, here's how that run went.
Right, bitch.
Cause we're not gonna be breathing out of both nostrils this season.
I'm falling.
Open it.
Bye, have a great time.
So, now on on to my thoughts for this champ. I think out of all of the revamps that they've done so far, this was my favorite. This pony champ somewhat kept the old layout of the old one, but it just had some add-ons, but it was a lot of fun. Compared to the old one, this one's more challenging, and I think depending on which way you go, it depends on where you'll place, and it introduces more obstacles that either slow your ass down or you fuck up entirely. It's just felt a lot of fun and a breath of fresh air to champs that didn't feel like a baby course, and I feel like this champ definitely fits a pony champ. Besides that, as usual, we have more horses on sale, and this is the final week of the horse bazaar that happened during this month, and that was the addition of the Gotland pony and the Shinkotique pony. So, as I said, it's the last week of the bazaar that happened in March. So, y'all remember how I said, you know, these horses were on sale?
Yeah.
Well, for those of you who follow me on Instagram, you might have seen him before, but if you haven't, well... Finally I can get a Gotland pony after so long, and for the price of 490 star coins. Now, let's see.
Wow, so you're already buying a new horse this soon?
Yes, Odd. It's on sale, and I'm actually gonna buy a horse, just like all the other times y'all came in and farted your way in here with your stinky asses.
So are you just gonna stand here, look at a pony for 5 minutes, or are you actually gonna finally open up your wallet?
I don't know why she got more paid, do you know?
Nah, man. Ever since she got out of the Pandorian weed from the award show last year, she got sassier.
Can y'all let me shop in peace? Is that hard to ask? Thank you. So as you can see, I finally got a Gotland pony, and as y'all saw, his name is Archie, and I love him to pieces. I've actually been wanting a Gotland pony for a while, but since I was still on a no buying horses streak, the Gotland ponies weren't enough to break my streak because, as y'all know, the horse breed that broke my streak was the Gen 3 Shires, because as y'all know, they're very gorgeous. So if there's one thing that's good from this bazaar is that I got my adorable munchkin Archie. I just love him. Anyway, as usual, we have our normal
Oh my god, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
I'm so sorry, y'all. This is still a terrifying, nasty image of a horse right here. Why? No wonder why this beef jerky bubblegum cotton candy mess tied with the Pandorian weed halflinger for the worst magical horse released in 2022 in the awards last year. So, the budget dollar store tree horses came during this month, and at this point, if you want them, it's just because of the normal coats. Just never, ever, ever, never go to the magical coats. Just don't, unless if you plan to go to an ophthalmologist afterwards. Then we got more lifetime pants. Then we have to say goodbye to another Gen 1.5 breed, and that's the Gen 1.5 Irish Cobs and North Swedish horses. These are revolutionary in its prime, and it was also one of my favorites when I got Gen 1 horses back in the day, even though they had a very crusty looking mane. So with that being said, let's have a moment of silence for those that love this breed, and also a moment of silence for the loss of another Gen 1.5 breed. Thank you. That's it for week 1. So now on to week 2. In week 2, we got these gorgeous, sexy, luxurious, magical Pasafinos. And their names are Calder and Ephra. Now, before going in further about these horses, we're going to talk about some of the controversy with this one, and that was 2 things. 1, it's another magical Pasafino, even though we had just had the unicorn in the Christmas event last year. So we're seeing kind of a similar thing like what happened with the Jorvik wild horse, where it gets religiously used for exclusive horses and magical horses. And the other issue was that people wish that the gems on the horse were 3D, which I also agreed as well, even though I really like these horses. It would make this already gorgeous horse even sexier in my opinion, because it would make it feel like it was actually birthed and bathed in gemstones and actually look gorgeous as hell, and not like the gemstones that you get from your typical craft store. Literally, how this horse was made by SSO was that it took a trip to Michael's and got those, you know, those sticker gems that you used to put on your face with like on your littlest pet shop or on your face. They took one of those and got some multi-chrome nail polish and stuck them on a Pasafino and called it a day. I'm sorry, I had to do it to them. I love them, but they should have had 3D gems, man. Hi, this is Editing Moon here. I forgot to mention that basically they also did spoilers. This is their first time showing spoilers on their own end, and they did this through ambassadors and game masters, and I think a little on their account, and they got all this feedback, and they still didn't do nothing. Regardless of these 2 things, did I still go and buy one? Yes. Yes, I did. What in the world is that?
Oh! He needs some milk!
Oh my god. Vomit! Burke here, look!
Oh shit, there's a person here. He will finally get bought from this crusty tree corner. I'm sure they live a nice street.
Every fucking time.
You know, if you didn't decide to rush the tree development, had better eyes and not look like vomit and dehydrated beef jerky and cotton candy trees, you actually go home to someone. But we have nice normal coats. Y'all have bright ocean eyes and pink eye syndrome. Just face it, y'all got done dirty when y'all were released, especially with how you look nowhere as good as the original Tree Lusitanos. Halami even won as a tie with Hermero for being the worst magical horse in 2023. Oh yeah.
God damn it. Cherry blossoms. Y'all are hate.
Now, come to mama.
I should warn you, child. You won't be able to take home both of these horses with you.
Wait, what do you mean?
You only have enough for 1 horse if you still want to have 1K star coins.
Wait, see if I can line them and look at this shit. Okay, Moon. Time to decide. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch a finger by a toe. If you holler, fuck it, I'm getting the purple one. I will get you one day, Sapphire Grulo horse. I will get you someday. So as you can see, I love these horses a lot. Not only because of them being sexy, but because these 2 are actually my favorite colors, purple and blue. And I went with the purple one, Calder, since purple's my main favorite color. So for the sapphire blue one is gonna come home when they do a rerun again, and also when I have more money. Overall, these coats are gorgeous, and the normal coats are also phenomenal. Personally, I love these to bits, and regardless, they are coming home with me. The cats that came with them are all so cute and they're all so nice. I just mainly wish they weren't a whopping 350 star coins for serval cats. Like, honestly, 350 star coins are better going towards like a pony. So now for this, I'll be giving a rating on them. Now normally I pass this pheno with my new grading system that I did, which I actually forgot to type in the last video. My bad. Coats are a 10 out of 10, gates are an 8 out of 10, models is a 10 out of 10, in real life model accuracy is a 9 out of 10, animations are a 9 out of 10, and the final score for the passive phenos was 46 out of 50, which is a 9.2 out of 10. With magical horse batches, they'll be just mainly on their normal coats. Magical coats, the type of model that's chosen, and if they fit the model, because if I just do the same categories that I normally do with a normal horse, the score's gonna just look off. If the batch is 2 different horse models, then they get their own separate score. If it's the same model but with different coats, then the coats are judged separately unless otherwise. Pets are not going to be included since usually most of the time the pets are just cosmetics and it's really a if you really want them or not sort of thing. So with that being said, since they're on the same model, normal coats for both of them are a 10 out of 10 for me. Magical coats, they're both a 9 out of 10 since I feel like if the gems were actually 3D, it would have made a huge difference instead of being gems from Michaels. Type of model is a 9.2 out of 10 since it's a passive pheno, and for the most part, they're fine besides a few minor things wrong with them. And finally, do they fit the model? It's a 10 out of 10. The final score is a 9.55 out of 10. I highly recommend getting these horses whenever you get the chance because they are worth the price as a magical horse in my opinion. They're gorgeous. Now that's the first 2 weeks. Next we're moving on for the first time, weeks 3 through 5. And that's because the 3rd and 5th week don't have much happen in game, and it's also because March doesn't start till on a Wednesday, so it doesn't really start with 4 weeks in the month, it kind of just starts with 5, so there you go. However, another thing is that in this week range, we didn't have a lot happen besides some things. The main thing that happened also during this week range is also going to be shared in its own dedicated section. And the same goes for the game blocks because I also forgot to mention something from February of the month, so I'll just put it in here. Anyways, let's move on to weeks 3 through 5. Lord, these weeks were on something. I'm not kidding. First, week 3, we have another Horses of Jorvik we don't really care about with the discounts on Marwaris, Alcoltiques, and Arabians, so good job on the discounts. Then, SSO did some updates to the Bobcat girls and some Bulldog girls with their textures, making them either look really good or look like me when I'm heavily sleep deprived, burnt out, and depressed. This is also very noticeable on people like Julie and this chick who I can't think of from the top of my head, but you're gonna see her in April. So it's mainly they did the textures, but they need to be fixed onto the model better since they also kind of still use older hairstyles on them. So that way they just don't look like they've seen some shit. That's really about it with them. Next, SSO moved a bunch of horses around, such as the Halflingers are now at Marley's with the Pertrons, Gen 3 English Thoroughbreds and Zatanos are at the Manor, all the Trackners are at Golden Leaf Stables, 2 Jorvik Warmbloods were moved to Crescent Moon Village, all the Connemara's are at Dundalk, and Paddock Island and Burst Grange are now empty and lifeless because there's no NPC horses in Paddock Island, and then Burst Grange, well, it basically just got a bunch of Gen 2 NPCs, I think. And that's week 3. Now on to week 4. This was hell. Week 4, we got a quest with On. That's confirmed as a main story quest. That's before the shit in Fort Maria, but this is before she runs away where you have to look for her after saving Fripp. Thanks for messing up my damn main story recap, SSO.
Thanks!
Please stop this madness.
So with that being said, let's get on to the recap of this quest. You first run into Anne at Steve's Farm's arena, and she talks about the typical how it feels weird to be outside since Pandoria, and how Concord's still full after 4 years in the game. And then she also talks about how Concord's been playing with other soul horses, which you ain't gonna talk about that until like later. Then Anne fills you in on what she's doing here, and she's going to be training a horse for Mark, and Mark gave her a horse named Cayenne to train so that way she can get her confidence back up. And she also deadass looks like Cayenne Pepper. I'm not kidding. thing. Anne wants you to help train Cayenne because she doesn't want to be at home listening to Cupid. So first you groom her for her, and then you do a warm-up routine, which honestly, you can just do this without waiting for Anne, because her ass just sits there and barely moves unless if you're next to her, because the following NPC shit in this quest is broken as hell.
All around me are familiar faces, worn out.
After doing the warm-up shit, Anne has you put the horses in the paddock, and then you sit down and talk to her about why you came to Jorvik, Sunrider leader troubles, her boo Derek, Elizabeth, and some emo shit. And that's the first part of the quest, cause there's actually a day blocker quest in this one. We're gonna come back to talking about the day blocker later when I review this quest, cause some shit happened with the day blocker. Now on to day 2. You meet up with Anne again, and she wants to desensitize Cayenne so she can become more confident. And she wants to desensitize Cayenne by riding through Silverglade Village and basically flood her with as much as she can. Which, oh boy. And once again, she wants you to have her follow you and shit, but this is once again, she doesn't follow you properly unless you're right next to her, because once again, her NPC shit is broken. However, as you're about to exit the village, Concord comes out of nowhere, spooks Cayenne, and then she basically yeeted Anne off of her and bolts off. You then help Anne up, and Anne starts scolding Concord, and she tasks you to go track down Cayenne. Once you find Cayenne, you do the stereotypical calm down minigame that we've seen multiple times in SSO shit at this point, in events and in the ranger shit, and then we lead her back to Anne, and you both then head back to Steve's. You watch Concord play. She asks if you do the same thing she did, and honestly, I went with no, cause she kinda just immediately put Cayenne in a heavy flood situation, literally the second day of training her, and from the looks of it basically just built up already high tension, and that just exploded once Concord came over and basically homegirl was gone. And I believe someone mentioned another issue that she had with Anne's training method, which I can't remember from the top of my head. You just leave your opinions below, but yeah, I just felt like she could have done a better job, to be honest. Anyways, Mark came to pick up Cayenne and bids you farewell to go have a Gucci rich family grandparent dinner in Jorvik City, gives you this small ass dressage pad that doesn't even fit by the saddle that much, and that's it! So first off, combine this quest together with both of those days, it's about 15 to 16 minutes, cause the first day was about 9 to 10 minutes, and the second day for me, it was about 5 to 6 minutes, and I read the dialogue. So we're right back to the short ass quest. Now there was something that happened with the day blocker, and as you can see, this quest had some bugs, but the main one that took the cake was the day blocker bug. Now, basically, if you don't know how day blockers work in SSO, basically, you wait a whole in real life day to do the next part of the quest, and the problem was, even after waiting a whole day, it was still saying it's not available until the next day. Some people tried to pay for it, which, if I remember correctly, it's about 75 star coins. If that's not the right price, I'll put it on screen, and it either worked or it didn't work at all. SSO on social media said it was a bug, and when people asked if those who try to get rid of it with the star coin day skip will get a refund, and oh, won't you look at that? Stingy SSO said hell no.
And
This almost turned into another comment wave, cause I guarantee if this went on longer, y'all will be seeing another comment wave. Cause y'all, let me tell y'all something when it comes to refunds and you're doing business. Don't ever say refunds aren't allowed, cause if you say that shit, someone will sue your ass. This almost put SSO in extremely hot water, cause after my ass also mentioned this on Instagram and like some other people, and as well as people seeing it in the comments, they finally buckled and said they'll give out refunds. Jesus Christ. This shouldn't take a social media oncoming uproar to have a refund. And not only that, this makes me question if they even do refunds for anything at all either. If they don't actually do any refunds for things like a Star Rider membership, or even if you bought the wrong star coins, or even some like their old ass like polo pillow merch. Just like, do y'all ever give refunds? Imagine if someone was trying to get a refund on, let's say, their 3 to 6 month Rider membership and they say no. And so that's a one-way ticket for a lawsuit.
Electric chair.
Anyways, back to actually reviewing the damn quest. This personally didn't feel like a main story quest to me. It just felt like a side quest, and I feel like this should have been clarified as one, since it honestly doesn't really relate to the main story at all. And this shit almost broke the damn timeline if you didn't clarify where this shit is supposed to be. But honestly, SSO story at this point is still busted as hell, to be honest, because there's so many loopholes. This just added more. Next, I honestly felt more like I was listening to Anne rant or ramble about stuff and not really get to know her, since she was honestly just talking about her usual Soul Rider shit and Concord's being a fool and that sort of thing. Basically, she talked about shit we either already knew or just added on to it further, and it honestly just felt like we didn't really learn anything. Finally, we need to talk about this buggy mess of a quest with recycle shit. I'm surprised the quest for me didn't restart when I took off from Anne twice in this quest, because literally she only moves if you're right booty tight next to her. All she does is say wait up, but doesn't even come to us. I get it's supposed to be us right next to her, but they've done a better job of doing that with other NPCs in the old open house quest. You know, the one where like you had to do that riding tour class? They did a better job with that. Yet somehow here they couldn't do the same thing. Here you could just run from Anne with no repercussions and finish the quest. Overall, this quest just felt like it was recycled with not much to add in a 15 to 60 minute quest scale, and at that, it doesn't really feel like a main story quest, just felt more like a side one. So I'm honestly giving this quest a 2 out of 10. It shouldn't be considered a main story quest in my opinion, and nothing much happened besides the horse getting spooked with the usual Concord scolding that always happens when Anne and Concord are in the room. That's about it for week 4, so now the final week, week 5. Week 5 introduces a new horse state system, which what this did was now you can get to a fast gallop faster with just a few arrow key taps, since before it was mainly just going from one gate for a little bit before going to the next. This is helpful especially for racing, because now you can get a faster start for your races and champs, so this is a plus. You can also now bunny hop jump, which if you don't know what that is, it is basically when you're able to repeatedly jump over and over. So for example, if you have a lot of real close jumps together that don't really have much breathing room, now you can easily jump them without having to slow down. However, this state system also affected some other shit in SSO. For example, the turning is now way too wide, which affects SSO dressage heavily because now you gotta fight to turn sharper. Some gates on horses are also a little bit janky. I couldn't really tell personally on some stuff, but I think it just affected them slightly, but not as much. And then the main big kicker of all this was whenever you jump, or even when you're speeding up or turning or running or whatever you're doing with this horse state quest, this horse state system, you basically looked like you were sliding on ice, and it was extremely noticeable in the jumps. I don't know if SSO fixed this, but it said they would, but I'm not really 100% sure if it still happens or not, so please let me know if this shit still happened or if this is another thing that SSO hasn't fixed, because I don't really remember from the top of my head, but I think they did. I don't know. Finally, the last thing they did was that they updated the Morgan codes, which didn't come till a bit later because they also forgot to apply it. But after they did apply the codes, they honestly didn't look really any much different from how they looked before. I also did pull with it just to make sure I wasn't seeing shit or if I'm not seeing something, and the majority of y'all say that there wasn't really much of a difference. And I also did another part and asked like if y'all think they look good or not, and it was still a mixture of some of us like it, most of us hate it, and some of us like I don't fucking know. That's it for the stuff in game. So now let's move on to the game blog before going to our main deep section for this month. So first things first, I forgot to mention one more section from the February game blog, so I'm just gonna mention it here. They talked about horse stable customization, which is another feature that a lot of us really want in SSO, because if you don't know, whenever you first enter Yorvik City, you do a couple of quests and they give you these random items, which is a bucket of paint, a sofa, and I believe like a cone. I think those are the 3 items. I could be wrong. I think there was one more, but I don't fully remember. Well, they talked about that and they fully admitted they couldn't do it right now.
Oh my god! Wow! Oh my god!
they admitted they should have shared more info. You think, sweetie? And because of that, they said that they decided they're going to pull the plug on it and they're going to revisit another time. And the reasons were because they had a lot of bugs and there's a lot of technical difficulties, because they were also saying that the UI was buggy and shit. Good job, SSO, for making promises and breaking them, sweetie. This is nothing new. The funny thing is, they also say they want to foster an environment where it's okay to make mistakes. But the thing is, sweetie, this is like your over 100th mistake you've made ever since you started to go downhill in around 2018, 2017, 2019, somewhere around that time.
Hoop shot. And he goes for the 3-pointer. Oh, looking for nothing but net.
This isn't nothing new. You made a lot of mistakes before. Even some people in the community have also done a better job at making concepts for how horse stable customization should look like. Come on, man. I really do hope they visit this again, because I feel like this would add a lot to actually engaging with the game more than just hope to God that we get a quest and just not be stuck slaving away at training horses. And I also just hope that when they do visit this again, that they do it with a better engine and have better tech. Because I guarantee you, if they try to do it again with what they're doing right now, it will probably still be worse. That's the main part that I forgot to mention from the February game blog, so now let's talk about the March one. In March, they talked about how they did the new championship, and they talked about some behind the scenes stuff on that, and then they brought the infamous no quest team main quest article shit that Stacy said. And they basically once again admitted that they don't have one. And actually, they didn't just not have one, they just never had one in the first place. Okay, so basically you're saying you just never had a separate quest team. Okay. They basically said they have teams where they work on multiple shit, so basically it's nothing separate. This is also an issue because if they're working on multiple things at the same time in different teams, it's just gonna get fucked over and some stuff is gonna be done better than the others, and it really shows, especially with some quests being 15 minutes and being poorly done. Like, Jesus Christ. I personally think they should have a horse team that's actually consistent, then a quest team, an event team. You get the idea. Finally, SSO did another spoilers reveal where they showed the rainbow horses and rainbow outfit concepts. They then did a spoiler sneak peek of the rainbow horses, and then it was found in the files and shit, and with the way they look right now, honestly, they're kind of ugly on some parts. First, the Jorvik wild horse one, the magic coat and normal coat's fine. I just feel like a different model would fit this horse personally with a custom tail. I just feel like they went with the Jorvik wild horse because it had a lion tail, but honestly I feel like this should have went to like a slimmer horse in my opinion, like an Alcotique or a Lusitano, horses like that. Now the Appaloosa one. The normal coat is very sexy. The magical coat, it looks personally unfinished. I'm hoping it's unfinished, but knowing SSO, it is probably the final product. I'm not gonna really say much more until they're actually released, so these are just my thoughts on them right now, where basically they either have nice normal coats or nice-ish magical coats, or just the magical coat is just kind of trash right now. And then with the clothes, I'm not really gonna say much on them either because they've only showed concept of this. I did see spoilers, and I'm not really having my full opinion until I actually see them, so we'll be coming back to this once it's probably the Rainbow Festival. That's the game vlogs. Now on to the main spectacle of this whole thing. Gen 3 the Gen 3 Lippizaner spoilers. Oh boy. Oh Jesus. Oh Jesus. So, in the trend of SSO doing these spoilers themselves so they can show that they are official with their stuff, they had their game masters and the ambassadors spoil the Gen 3 Lippizaner. Lipizingers. And if you don't know, the Gen 3 Lipizingers is another highly requested breed people wanted updated. And when these spoilers that they gave their ambassadors to show entered the surface that is SSO social media,
this how I press it.
Ah! What the fuck?
God damn.
Yeah, hello, 911?
all hell broke loose! Y'all, this spoiler was so poorly done. I needed an ocean of holy water. Thankfully not holy water from heaven, because that was needed for the Frisians.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus.
So I'm gonna talk about my thoughts on them when this happened in March, since when they were released in April, I went more in depth on them, and I actually had a different opinion on them after I saw them in April, but I'm still gonna talk about my thoughts of them in March, because also there wasn't much difference in April as well. Besides maybe some other stuff. For starters, SSO gave them from this angle, and it made them look like shit. The worst part was that SSO said this shit was final, meaning they just inadvertently confirmed that the spoilers that we see in spoiler count videos, pictures, and that sort of thing are final. So by saying this, they shot themselves in the foot really bad. And the worst part is, basically it confirms that once you see spoilers, they don't really change much, or they rarely change at all. The main issues with this breed is that 1, this bitch looked like it was in its 3rd trimester about to give birth to some triplets. And 2, the gates looked like shit, and the proportions are also just off on the Lippizaner in general in the spoilers. This then sparked a battle of people saying it looks disproportionate, it looks fine. People saying that they saw them in their country, and that they either said they look like a Lippizaner or it doesn't. First off, to the people that were white knights that were throwing shit at people for giving them their feedback on the spoilers and wanting SSO to fix things before it was released in April, please don't gaslight people over voicing their upset and constructive criticism. Sweetie, you don't need to do that. We understand that you love the Lippizangers already in the spoilers. Not everybody else does. We think there's actually some issues that they should be fixed. And even then, you gotta admit, these could have been done better. So you can like them for the bare minimum, but come on, some shit should have been fixed, and it's okay for people to not like the same thing you do. Just because you think it's fine doesn't mean there's no issues with it, meaning you should at least let people be able to voice their constructive criticism and feedback. I honestly really should do Chris comments again, because a lot of comments happen. Gate-wise, this shit looks like a rocking horse. And then when I saw this, Girl, this is golden. So because of how much this uproar was, and it was almost so big that it was in contention with being as bad as the Gen 3 crackhead region, here's a list of shit either y'all have told me or others told me about how the horse looked in the spoilers here. It's pregnant. A dog. Oh god no! Oh god no! It's a pregnant dog. They look chunky and depressed, like the Lippizangers in Hungary. A Pasofino had shrunk and merged with a Pertron. A Pertron. A Morgan. It's just buggy and finished. The gates are stiff. A rip-off flat rubber horse. A rocking horse. A balloon horse. A potato prick. A potato prick. A potato. A horse painting from Roblox Dolls. Not the Roblox horse. What's funny is one of y'all sent me a model horse that y'all had of your Lippizaner, and the model horse looks better than SSO. And then y'all showed me a picture of Briar's Lippizaner, and Briar's look better. I'm dead. I can't. So with that out of the way, I once again decided to see if I can merge a couple of horses like I did with the Gen 3 Morgan, but for the Gen 3 spoiler of the Lippizaner, and see if I can merge a Pertron, a Pasofino, a Morgan, and a Shire into looking like a Gen 3 Lippizaner. And this is how that went. Yes, queen. Look at this beautiful, proportionate horse. Now, there was another thing I remembered, and that was that they went to visit Lippizangers for Gen 2, and the funny thing is, they don't even look close to the spoilers. Some of y'all also point out to me it could be based off of one of those lines, which if so, this shows that they went with an odd breed line during this period again, like the Gen 3 Morgan. But overall, this heavily showed how much people were begging SSO to once again take their feedback into account instead of trying to make shit final. Like they were honestly really thinking this horse was ready for April when there are still issues with it. And we're going to be discussing that more in April because there's also still some stuff wrong in the final release that we're going to talk about later. Now, were they very successful with these Lippizangers? Was it better in game or was it worse? Yes, I'm doing a cliffhanger for this, even though everybody probably already knows this answer since it's now May. We're gonna go more in depth about this in April's roadmap review, because that's all we got for March until then. So as usual, with that being said, that concludes March the month. Finally, next is April's road rap review, which is with the Equestrian Festival, and that was also one hell of a ride in itself. I'm glad to finally be back doing videos, and I'm hoping my videos will be more consistent and not this very inconsistent 2-week mess shit. I can't wait to show y'all what I have more in store for not just this channel, but also stuff that I have planned outside my channel, and I can't wait to show y'all more soon, because I'm really excited for a lot of the projects that I've been working on. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!